My dad's not fully present, and it was one of the first times I was alone with him in his battle with cancer that was going on. And I remember just wanting to help him because I could tell he was like in fear and his eyes were moving around. And I was like, wow, how can I help him? So I closed my eyes and I heard chant to him, putting my hands on my dad's top of his head and just letting the Om come through and chanting and doing it for a few minutes. And I'm starting to kind of like feel like this warmth coming from my dad's head. I opened my eyes and I looked at my dad. He was looking straight at me and was completely there with me. And I was able to have this conversation with him where I say, Dad, you know I love you, right? And he would squeeze my hand. He passed that morning.
Welcome to the Reality Revolution. It is a glorious and wonderful day. So excited to talk to the one and only Barry Goldstein, Grammy-winning producer. You've heard his music so many times in so many different meditations. He has been at the forefront of the science of the heart, of the power and science of vibration, showing and leading the way and using a completely, in some ways, foreign modality to so many people, and helping us use it as a form of healing. And it's an honor to speak with you. Welcome to the Reality Revolution, Barry.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me. Excited for our conversation today.
Yeah. So what you write about and your explorations of music, it's because of and following you for a while, you're just another brother from another mother. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you and I vibe so much. Behind all of what you've written about and shared is your just deep love for music, and that you're receiving this music, that it's like coming to you, that you're not a musician, that it's sort of coming to you, that mode and that idea. I vibe with that 100,000,000%. And I absolutely love the part of your book where you talk about the power of playlisting. When I was just thinking about it, I wanted to go back in time with you, and I wanted to share with people what music was like when we were growing up. Right? When music was like, when I was excited to get that K-Tel tape. Remember those greatest hits that you get on K-Tel?
I do.
Right? Those compilations, and so many, we used to have, there was a time when you and I were growing up where there would be infomercials for albums. Remember those? Like, and they would play all the time at night, and you'd start to actually learn some of the songs because you let the infomercial run through, like the classics from the 70s, or, remember those old infomercials, right?
I do. I remember, just the fact that we called them records, right, is always interesting to me because they were actually a record of what was going on musically at the time as well.
Right.
We shifted from that into albums and then CDs, but I love that terminology, records, when we were doing that. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I am definitely a preferential 70s guy. I love the 70s. So.
Me too. I mean, people don't understand what music was what was happening in the 70s for music, because this is, in 1969, one of the greatest years of music. Right? All this incredible, just explosion of music. You can imagine being conscious in that time. And it's not just one, but it's like dozens of amazing bands that are completely going into new areas and new ways of things we've never heard before. And so it seems like that was the beginning of this constant explosion. It's a reflection when we look at music and the trends that come up. We really learn a lot about who we are, right?
Yes.
That's what, to me, that's how powerful it is. And the way you were talking about playlisting, I wanted to go back. I spent years just making mixtapes. I spent a decade, and now I lost all my time. I couldn't focus. I would go to work, and then I would be thinking about my next mixtape. You could get the big 90-minute, and you find some different CDs, and then you had the 6-rack CD, so it would be a little bit faster. But in those days, you had to listen to the song all the way through to get it on the tape, because the tape is in live time. So you were forced to sit. You couldn't just like pick the songs from your playlist. So these sequences of songs became like an experience that was, because they were in line together, it created these states And I wanted to talk to you because that's the vibe I got when you were writing about that in the book. And I was like, that he understands. If you really create a great playlist, you can unlock the secrets of the universe.
Absolutely. I love that you're starting with that. Totally unexpected, and I love you for that. And I just met you, so
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah. But I'll tell you the truth. So when playlists were happening for me, I mean, I grew up in the Bronx, so
Right, right.
in a big melting pot of music and different genres, and the guys I grew up with were very mixed and multicultural. So we all basically had a half an hour to present our mixtapes, like in the park
Ah,
when we were hanging out.
right.
And it was then that I realized, like on a conscious level, how important music was through the lens of each person. And I distinctly
Exactly.
remember, like my friend Rini, who was like literally best man at my wedding. I still know him to this day.
Right.
He had, he had a challenging childhood that he grew up with, and he had things that were going on in his life. And his playlists, when he played them, was representative of that, how important it was to him. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young,
Mm-hmm.
Santana, right? And when each one of our playlists came on, you can see the personalities and transformation shifting. It was what we're doing now, what we call sound healing, but literally you could see the energy shift from one state
Right.
to the other.
Mm-hmm.
Other guys I knew who parents, were like literally incarcerated. They'd play
Mm-hmm.
their songs, and you can see them, moving emotions and tears and crying. These are like guys who it's not cool to do that,
Right.
right.
Exactly.
But all of us kind of tapping into that energy. And I use that in many instances years later, that's when I really knew what healing was about, and later defined it. Healing is not just an esoteric term, but when we
Mm-hmm.
can release something and actually create a vibrational upgrade. So you're better than you were coming out than you were when you came in.
Exactly.
And in some ways, I think we need to simplify that as well, as we're moving into this stage where so many people are aware of things and a lot of urban myths and legends out there as well. Let's get back to basics. Are you shifting your energy when you're listening to a piece of music? Are you targeting specific states? Are you acknowledging where you're at now and where do you want to go? And I mean, it's rewinding. And I have downloaded a lot of those songs I listened to in the 70s, especially during COVID.
Right.
And it was just like going back and an old friend. I didn't think of it like music. It's like an old buddy you call up
Yeah.
20 years later. You haven't talked to him, but when you do, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe it's like yesterday. That's like what good music does for me.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
You and I were in the same place because there's nothing more powerful than shifting your state than using music. And it can happen because it's tied to memories, which is a big part for a lot of people, is that it's tied to a memory, which really shows it's an anchor. And if we understand the technology of music and consciousness, it's the most powerful technology, more powerful than any drug, and then in many ways more powerful than meditation. It because it puts you into a state of very rich meditational states that are instantly accessed like a technology. It's really one of the most amazing things, and we don't talk enough about it. I can tell when somebody's really good at doing meditation music is somebody that loves movies. That's when I feel into like your music, I can see it has a soundtrack quality. It creates these haunting visual states in some cases, and it's an experience like a playlist in many ways. You're transporting people into different states in a conjunction in resonance with the meditator, and there's this divine union that occurs. In some ways, you're not expecting it. You listen to the music and it hits a perfect note the way it was created before. You didn't realize that everything synced up so perfectly, right? And it's a really interesting phenomenon.
Yeah, and we are the technology as well.
Yes,
Our hearts have been portals for
I'm going to
consciousness.
put that on the thumbnail. We are the technology, right?
Yeah, we are, and we're literally. It's not a matter of interacting with it. It's a matter of remembering, and that's
Mm-hmm.
really been my biggest journey. With all of this, like this was a left turn from being a pop producer in
Right.
a very very fragmented industry, at the time when I was doing it. This was all an experiment for me. And I think some of
Yeah.
the best music is an experiment, and it helps us remember like who
Hmm.
we truly are. And that's the most powerful thing possible. We're just literally cutting through layers and layers with music and sound and
Yeah.
vibration, and we're cutting to the chase in a lot of ways because we can't prepare for it. Like with other modalities, methodologies of working with ourselves in transformation, we can prepare in some aspects. Like you have a healing session with someone, you
Right.
can prepare in some ways. The subconscious comes in and creates armors, and you might not be as vulnerable as you need to be for releasing some of the things that might be holding you back. But with music, it just cuts through and doesn't let the conscious mind come in to protect, because of very much what you said, those autobiographical memories that they're connected to. We all have a different lens that we're looking through. And when the right music resonates with us, it ripples out into things we see physiologically as well. We get goosebumps, having out of body experiences, right? We're feeling more grounded, wherever it may be.
Hmm.
It's something that affects our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. It encompasses every part of our transformation. And that's why it's so powerful.
Absolutely. One of my favorite experiences is when you suddenly burst into tears in a song, and you can't quite, it's not obvious right away until you sort of think about the song. The way that songs can create those kind of instant transformational states where in one moment you're fine and then you're burst. I remember this when it was just one time listening to Release by Pearl Jam, the actual song Release, and it's sort of about a relationship with a father he never knew, and they're calling upon them from the dead, kind of like in this moment, and suddenly I'm having this connection with my father, and tears are coming to me. It's literally taking me to an unseen world and creating a connection into another dimension just through the vibration of the song. It's really an amazing experience. And what I find most interesting is you go back to a lot of psychedelic movements. People, when new psychedelic and drugs that create unconscious states, they're always linked to music. And oftentimes music is the way that we use to understand those heightened emotional states that were brought about by DMT experiences and psychedelic experiences. It's also sort of a language that's helping us to understand higher dimensional states, right? I'd love to get your perspective on that.
Well, that's really what it's all about. I mean, I think the whole blueprint for me, which I learned after going down this left turn in my path,
Right.
was basically allowing music to come through me and wanting to reconnect with the kid who just sat on the edge of his bed playing guitar and was in that state of joy. And ultimately, when I started doing that and just letting the music come through me and decomposing to the music as opposed to composing it, I found
Right.
myself connecting to something beyond myself, and literally watching my own hands kind of on the keyboard and say, "Oh, that's kind of cool." I was there, right? I was bringing forth my experiences, but at the same time, I was witnessing a collaboration that was going beyond myself. And really, that's for me is one thing that hasn't changed over the last 30 or 40 years that I've been doing this. That never gets old. It never gets
Never
old.
gets old.
That creative process of creating something from nothing, birthing something that wasn't there 15 minutes ago. And at first, I used to invite it in. I used to say, "Okay, God, the divine, whatever, come on into my space. Here I am."
Hmm.
And then I realized it was always there. It
Always
didn't
there.
need an
Always
invitation.
there.
And it was me that had
Hmm.
to just allow that space to feel the connection, that there was no separation of that what I was experiencing wasn't entertainment anymore. Like I wasn't creating for entertainment. Literally, composing became part of my spiritual practice, where I got to take that journey. And what many people do, like DMT and those journeys, I've been able to access through music itself, and literally have that communion where I felt that I was present with that divine, and then bringing it into the music. And that's really been the key. It's not separate. And music's a carrier of information. So if I'm having a healing during this process, which can be emotional, it could be spiritual, physical, whatever, mental, whatever it may be, and I'm experiencing that, think of that, right? I'm in this expansive heart space while I'm composing. Is there any way that the listener is not going to feel that? You know, so the music itself becomes a field that gets amplified every time somebody listens to that piece of music. It carries its own energy and ripples out into the world, and carries that energy that was important for me to heal through. And it's always for the person who's creating it first. And for me, that's always been my process. It's not necessarily thinking about the end user. Like, I am the end user. And if it finds resonance with me, then the audience finds the resonance itself. Mm-hmm. Just like that 70s song, you know, that you listen to, and like, you know, it resonates and brings you joy. Mm-hmm. Same thing with meditation music or any kind of music. It's all about resonance. Is that amplifying something in you that's already there and making it stronger? Whether it's you needing to release grief or you needing to do ecstatic dance, you know?
Yeah. No, you really hit on something that I'd love to go deeper with, as somebody that paints and creates, and the moment when I have the canvas and I'm painting or writing, or in that free moment when you're creating, if there's this other presence that's sort of there, right? And if you sort of make this agreement, like the way I can see them, they just can't wait to create with you. Like, it's the most exciting moment in the world. This divine presence, their energy is just, please let me create through you. You invite them in, and something greater happens. That there's a communion, a sort of co-creation, where this divine element sort of comes in, and it's the music becomes the music, or whatever you're creating, because I want to get to the core of it, is that the process of creation is a process of integrating who you are as God in the universe. There's this moment, that's the bridge that helps us to understand it's that creation energy. And I think the more we're constantly creating, that's the ultimate way to bring magic. Like, if I'm just creating for no reason all the time, magic starts to form around what I'm doing without me even thinking about the effects of it. Nobody could ever see it. It doesn't matter. It's not about anybody else but me. And the other thing you're saying, which is so true, like, and then Rick Rubin points out, and don't worry about what other people think about what you're creating out there, right? We are all one. So if something really like lights you up and it makes you excited, then you are part of the oneness. There's other people that are going to feel the same thing as you feel. And the secret to really true creation is getting to know yourself, not worrying about what other people think. It's a huge shift, and it changes everything, right?
Yeah, and I mean, that's the key. I mean, people think that creativity is reserved for artists, musicians, creatives, right? But literally, if you can, the same energy that you're talking about is really important, because it's about embodiment. You know, it's about how you not only create music or art, but how are you creating moments in your life as well, that we have the ability to have that same divine collaboration in every aspect of our life. You know, with a waiter or waitress is having a bad day. You know, we have the ability to create a moment where her day shifts to the better or feed into it. We can offer dissonance. We can offer harmony. When you start tapping in to creator energy, which basically, look around you, the creator never has any blocks. Look at flowers, right? Look at, listen.
The creator impresses me on a daily basis. Oh my gosh, the intelligence, the beauty of every plant when I'm just going walking. It's just the incredible, the detail, the color, the variation is so amazing, right?
Yeah, and so think of that. You're bringing that into
what you're bringing through.
You do. Yeah. When you're creating, you're becoming the energy of creator. And when you are truly connected in a creative state, you never will experience creative blocks, because when you're connected. So that's usually my sign. If I'm having a creative block, I'm not where I need to be. Go take a walk in nature. Go look at some flowers.
15-minute walk,
do some breath work. Listen to some music. or change the channel, start something completely from scratch.
Exactly.
To tap back into the new energy. And that's what I do a lot. Like if I have a creative block, start something new. And it refreshes the energy. It's like switching the channel from channel 5 to channel 7, right? You have better reception on 7. And then, you play around with your antenna, you connect, and then you go back to 5 and you're like, oh, wow, I have all these ideas again. So
right.
It's having that playful energy when you're in that creative space. And it's not something that you have to do. It's something that you get to do. It's like a privilege to birth creation like every day. And you
become like a child, right? I mean, that's the best creator was when we were little kids playing make-believe in the sandbox. I mean, I still remember my imagination was incredible when I was a little kid, the things and worlds that I created, right?
Yeah, and they've literally done studies around kids at like the age of 5, and they've measured creativity and actually shown that at 5 years old, 95% of us are creative geniuses. As we get older and we go through the system, less and less. It goes from 95 to 50, I think, when we're 10.
It's so sad.
It keeps going down. So most people think, well, I'm not a creative person. It's really the other way around. We are born with that creative aspects of ourselves, and then creativity is unlearned for most of us.
Exactly. When I remember when I was in preschool and I had imagined this whole fantasy world and was constructing it, and I was in the middle of it, and it was a wonderful time. Just my mind was exploring free, and I was talking to my mom about it. And then one of the teachers, like, he's got too much of an imagination. We're going to have to calm that down. And so from when I was a little kid, I was told, hey, it's weird to have an imagination. And then you start to lose it. And it happens for all of us. It's weird or unusual or different to express what you're imagining, and we move away from it. It's so sad. And so music brings us back to that.
Yeah,
that's what I think is so powerful. It brings us back
imagination, to that. Image in, right? And
image in, yes.
Right? And when we listen to music, it creates images. And some of the best music for meditations I've created were because I had to create a soundscape similar to what you said, like for a film. Like if I'm doing music for a guided meditation, I don't have the ability to use visuals, so I have to go off words and create, wow, what would that word expansion sound like? Or what would radiate your energy sound like, or be translated in music? So to do music that is going to be used for guided meditations, you really have to know how to score, but you're not scoring to visuals, you're scoring to energy. That's a lot of what I've done.
Exactly.
With some of the, people I've been blessed to work with, like Dr. Joe Dispenza and Neale Donald Walsch and Anita Moorjani, is how do we create a soundtrack for visuals when people are not seeing what we're talking about? And that's even more challenging than composing music for a film. And I've done both. Because you literally have to figure out what that is going to sound and feel like. And it really requires experimenting with music, not like knowing everything. I'm going to use this, that, and this. It's very similar to painting, like a canvas. It's multi-layered, and we're playing with the energy of it. And do I want a long sound? Do I want a short sound here? And it's a lot of fun.
Another interesting element, because in a meditative space, you're actually listening a little more carefully sometimes. It's different than normal listening, and there's a spatial element. So there's sometimes sounds I hear where it sounds like it's off in the distance. I notice you do that in the meditation, that you're using some sort of distance, spatial aspect to some of the song. Am I right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And it's depending on what's needed for the piece, and that's really the key. And that's the important thing for listeners as well, to ask that question, like, what's needed for the piece of music, and what's the purpose that I'm going to be using it for? And it's the same in any collaboration that I embark upon with anyone who I'm doing a project with. Is like, okay, what is needed for this specific project? And even talking to the person, where is your listener now, and where would you like them by the end of the time that they're listening? And then music, Edgar Cayce talked about there's the music being a bridge that takes it from one place to the other. And it's the same questions as we should be asking ourselves as listeners as well, to navigate our moods and to target our energy so we have more energy to be in our giftedness. Like whatever we're here to share, music is a vehicle, and I call it a powerful sound tool that can literally navigate our energy wherever we want to go. But we have to know where we want to go first. And that means being aware in that embodiment, like where am I right now? Where do I want to go right now? Maybe I'm, I'm in beta brainwaves initially because we're firing and wiring. So if I wanted to get more relaxed, I would play a piece of music that is going to slow my heart rate down and change my breathing. But if I said, hey, let's take it up a little bit, let's amplify this a little bit and bring the energy up even more than that, maybe I'll listen to some epic music and music with beats. And that's going to elevate where we're going with it. So for me, it's always a vehicle, and it's always about how can it create transformation, and how can it expand my current state? Because ultimately we're all here for the same reason. We all have a gift, and we all have our own unique vibration that we hold in our heart of that gift, whatever it is. The question becomes, how do I access it? How do I remember it? How do I amplify it? And then how do I share it? And, by choosing music that is going to focus on that, and ultimately becoming your own sound healer, not waiting for someone to prescribe that for you, but learning to listen to your body, just like when you nourish yourself with food and something gives you energy, it. And if something's creating inflammation in your body, you also know it if you listen and you're fine tuning it. And music's the same thing. How are we digesting it? Just like we digest food, and how are we nourishing ourselves with it as well? So it's really, really important to think about what's going into your field, and how are you nourishing yourself with the sounds that you listen to every day.
Absolutely. In my formative years, after my freshman year of college, I had the greatest job of all time. And that was, I got to buy the music at the local music shop in Topeka, Kansas. So they would bring their CDs, the used CDs, and I would just constantly get to see like what other people were listening to, and just like start to listen to music. And there's just so much. People don't understand how much music, the actual volume of music that's been created over time. When you see these catalogs and really delve deeply into the different variations, going from like Real World with Peter Gabriel and finding all these great world musicians, which I think really influenced meditation music, that the Real World era of Peter Gabriel. I want to talk about, people have never really talked about, like the music that came out then when he was releasing those albums. You could always tell the way the CD looked, the Real World ones, the sort of rainbow on the side of the spine. And it was always exciting because you didn't know what you were going to get. And he would find these amazing artists from around the world. As you know, even his Passion soundtrack and stuff. I'd love to get your vibe on in looking at the history of meditation, how much of a role that played.
Look at other artists too within that same
right
genre and era. Pink Floyd.
Floyd.
How they were using music and space and synthesis when it came out. All of that, and I think it set the groundwork. And then Brian Eno. A big one who just, I think the key was they were all kind of experimenting. You had all these new sounds that were coming. It was a time in music. It was a specific movement in music that went about 7 to 10 years, right? And people don't talk about it. I used to go that when I would go to Hastings, or I'd go right to that section of the CD store and see what new music was out, right? Yeah, and when you listen to that, and you have a moment, where there was so much space, and that was intentional space that was created within the music. And as a listener and a kid growing up, and in one of those moments where you just become curious, wow, where did I just go? In that moment. And this was before we were talking about music and meditation and heart and brain coherence. Where did I go in that moment?
Where
And
did
I
you
think
go?
it's the same question that to me is so important in this day and age as well. It's not dogma, and it's not like, frequency panaceas,
Right.
it's not about preaching to the choir of people who understand this. It's
Hmm.
about creating curiosity in people who might be experiencing this for the first time, people who are journeying for the first time. And if you can find that sweet spot of curiosity where someone has a question like, oh my God, did I just meditate there? Oh my God, did I just, have a download there? Whatever it may be, that opens the doorway for an amazing conversation where they do it on their own terms. And there's so much information to uncover now that becomes the easier part, but it's the access part that needs to be created where we're not necessarily pushing that. We're allowing
Right.
people to have their experiences and move into that space where they're allowing and they're receiving, and that's where most of the beauty comes from in sound experiences is
Yeah.
being the receiver of something, and
Yeah.
that unveiling something or remembrance of some kind that reconnects you in some way, because we're part of it already. Sometimes we just have to kind of tune back into that, and music kind of helps us align our antennas
It really does.
that space.
What's your favorite movie soundtrack of all time?
Well, I mean, think up there like with it. So I'm going to give you two that are completely different. One is
Right.
like
Right.
Chariots of Fire.
Oh, Vangelis. Oh my
You have to think that. And
Oh my gosh.
another one that I love was like August Rush.
August Rush is very good.
Yeah.
Classic. Very good
And
choice. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and a lot in between that. I mean, I always find myself sometimes missing some of the movie because I'm listening to more of the soundtrack than
Yeah. I mean, that's Blade Runner for me.
else.
Is just like perfect. The soundtrack is amazing. And there's been some really amazing soundtracks for movies you'd never expect. Like there's horror movies that have good sound, a classic in the 80s. I used to always love The Hitcher. The soundtrack for that movie, if you ever saw that back in the 80s, it was Rucker Hauer. It had this haunting sort of like that back when they were just
Yeah.
starting to with the synthesizers, and
You got
then
to go back even further than that.
you
on
got to
that.
go back. Oh yeah, and then the
Invasion of the
Crow.
Body Snatchers, right?
Oh
Which I think
yes,
was one of the first one that used the instrument you're talking about is called the theremin.
the theremin. Yes,
Yeah, and believe it or not, that made its way into pop music, but initially it was like in a lot
right.
of horror movies, and the Beach Boys ended up using it in Good Vibrations.
In Good Vibrations, right?
So again, it moved its way into culture, and a lot of times, new ideas, new technologies. Music is the first ones to kind of try these things out in terms of synthesis and how we expand consciousness through music. And music's a messenger that it's not separate from what's going on in culture as well. It ties culture, what's going on in our world is tied together musically. At least it used to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite from the 70s? If you were to give it a top three, or like, is there a track in particular or band in particular that you put above all the rest?
So yeah, I'm gonna go like way left and right with you. So
Yeah.
the Spinners, which was like
Spinners.
Philly soul,
Uh-huh.
and literally I thought I love to listen to the Spinners. And when I met my wife, actually, and I asked her favorite song, it was the wildest thing, Brian, because my favorite song, which was "Could It Be I'm Falling in Love" by the Spinners, she named the same song as I did, and literally, I'm saying, oh my gosh, she's gonna think I'm full of shit, excuse my French. Because no way, this is not like a typical song like Elton John, Your Song or something, right?
Right.
Kind of, and it was both of our favorite songs. That was a sign for me that was a big one. But so the Spinners, and then if you go even the other side of that, Bruce Springsteen. I loved Bruce growing up.
Right.
I was from that area in the tri-state area, so love.
It's
that.
like mandatory if you're from the area, right?
Yeah, Van Morrison, James Taylor, Zeppelin. The Beach
Zeppelin.
Boys was the first concert I ever went to, which was a free concert in Central Park. So yeah, it was like the soundtrack of my life were all of these artists, and just incredible to this day. When I listen to them, I can go back, I can listen to an Eagles song and be like right back.
Transported right back. Yeah.
Transported right back. And we know this, from research now. It's what we call autobiographical memories, where literally music is engaging with that part of our brain that is allows us to tap into memories. And even, this is a very interesting fact, even if you're not listening to the music itself, but if you imagine yourself listening to it, it
You can
almost
think
has
of where
the same effect as it is by listening to it. And that could
It's
be
a time travel technology. You
It
can
is.
travel back in time with
forward,
this
right?
music. And forward, exactly. That's what I was going to mention. When you first started hearing Zeppelin, you're hearing something from the future. That sounds like it's from the future. It's this completely different sound, this amazing guitar, these huge places, sometimes long songs. What I loved about, first of all, the album was something. People do not understand. I know that we're going to unk out here a little bit, but people don't understand what an album is. It used to be the most important thing. You know what I mean? It's a whole story. The sequence of the songs. The first song is a certain kind of song in an album. The third song is a certain kind, and the fifth song is a certain kind of song. And there's usually a certain kind of song at the end. And these albums would come out that were just absolutely amazing as an album.
And it was an experience, right? I mean,
it was an entire, this took your whole day. When you would come home from the store and you would play it on your record player or wherever, it's like you sat with this, like watching a movie, and then you'd listen to it over and over again, right?
Yeah, but I think also the other part of the experience, which was really cool, definitely the listening part, but opening that album, the album art, right? And also it would had a list of all the players that played on it, so you start recognizing players that you loved in it. Like, oh my God, that's the same guy who played on this album or that album. And also you would get the making of the album. It was an experience. You weren't just like listening to a song. Yeah, you literally. I remember going home and unwrapping, and I'm going to ask you this as well. My first album that I bought, right, myself, when I had to spend my own money, was Elton John's Greatest Hits. And I remember like literally like opening up the album. It was like a red, white, and blue with I think he had a white piano, and I remember listening to the whole album, and it was like something that came with the fact that I bought it with my own money too, and it was part of my own experience that I would have. Like I could always just play that again whenever I wanted to.
Right.
That was really powerful. And what was your first album that you bought? I'd love to know other people's.
I think it was a cassette tape, and I wanted to get the Miami Vice soundtrack. I think it was the Miami Vice soundtrack when I first bought it. I might have had some other albums that my dad had bought for me that I was already listening to, but that first one I bought because I wanted to hear a song from the Miami Vice soundtrack. Remember when that came out?
I do.
And so I remember that and some of those K-Tel, and then I'm the guy that became obsessed with it and then had a whole like special shelf for the CDs and also the vinyl albums, and all organized and organized by in alphabetical order and taking up the that eventually. So it became like an absolute addiction for me. Just the album was an experience, and even if I didn't listen to it again very much, just having it there, just like when I have with my books, each one represents sort of an experience. It's like better than a piece of art just sitting there on your shelf. It's a reminder of it. You're grafted to it like a string to this experience that sort of shades my world, right?
Yeah, and I love the energy of this, Brian, because we are such an interesting place where with music is now, and it's so readily available in terms of access that I think that people forget the value that it brings because it's so easily accessible. But when you had to save up to get an album, right, it really meant something to you. But it doesn't negate the power that still exists within it. And I think that's the key. There are so much music out there, and it's so readily available. But I think it's important that we don't lose sight of the value of it. and
Yes.
how it could still navigate our experiences. And it's what I call becoming the DJ of your own life. Like literally, we
Right.
have the ability to program our own lives. And back in the day when I was doing music in New York as a major label record producer, I wasn't doing meditation music. I was doing like hip hop, house
Right.
music, electronic music. I was hanging out with DJs in clubs. And I was always really curious about how DJs would read the crowd and know what particular, album or 12-inch record to play, and then
Hmm.
watch that as they would mix it with something else, watching the crowd go nuts with certain songs, watching the crowd wind down with certain songs,
Hmm.
that moved forward when I started to do healing music or music that can be used to transform. The concept didn't really change, but it just was started to plug into different areas. Okay, well, how can I program better sleep at night for myself if I have challenges going to sleep at night? Or how can I program moving out of a state of anxiety, knowing that I'm having a situation that's bringing that up for me? How can I program looking at my day tomorrow and seeing, okay, well, I have an important meeting in the morning. I want to be in the right space for that. How can I program that so I can move into that space beforehand and literally access that state? And nothing does that like music. So even if we take it beyond playlists, playlists are great, but I think it's moving into now, how can I schedule it, right? How can I
Schedule
literally,
it.
how can
N-
I allocate time like we do everything else? I mean, how many of
Yeah.
us out there are looking at our schedule constantly saying, oh, what do I have going on tomorrow?
Right.
How hard would it be to schedule a piece of music? Like put
Schedule
all your
music.
music in hot pink, and put a song in there that you love before an important meeting, or,
Yes.
a Brian Eno song, before winding down to sleep at night to
Right.
target your heart and move it to a more relaxed state.
Hmm.
And I think this is where it really becomes powerful. And another level of sound healing. I mean, sound healing is not just about utilizing specific instruments, bowls, flutes, whatever it is. What we're talking about is part of sound healing, and in a
Right.
very important way, because this is how most people out there who are going to have a bridge into the world of transformation and spirituality are going to have access to this as a bridge because they already understand the language of music. And so meeting them where they're at and inviting them into this amazing space requires that it creates safety sometimes and knowing who your audience is. So for me, I'm at that stage of my life where I'm in like another chapter. I want to move beyond preaching to the choir, beyond the people who understand
Right.
it. I love the choir. The choir is my family. I love you, choir. Don't
Yeah.
get me
Yeah.
wrong. But also, I want to get to people who might not really understand all this,
Yeah.
and music can speak through the language in ways that we can't. Well, we might turn people off talking about the energy centers or the chakras or
Hmm.
accessing, the field. Music is not going to do that. Music
Hmm.
is going to meet them where they're at. So why not just play a piece of music that gives them that
Yeah.
experience? Give them a piece of music that accesses the field, or give them a piece of music that connects them more to their heart space, and allow them to have that experience and create that sweet spot of curiosity where they want to plug it into their life and then share it with somebody else. And
Yeah.
that's where the power and
Yes.
amplification comes in now. It's not, it's for me, it's not having the same conversations. Like, let's upgrade this conversation
Hmm.
and let people know how they can meet everyone where they're at.
As you say, it's the heart translator. I'm reminded of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the Babelfish, or like the Universal Translator on Star Trek. This thing that can translate any language, any energy. When it's through sound and song, it becomes the translator to the heart, and the heart can understand it, and it's the heart translator. And that's what's amazing, because your heart speaks a different language, and this language is essentially music. It's captured, and so. It's so funny how the smartest person, the person that's in their head, this can be a translator for them too. It's a universal translator,
Yeah, and I
right?
think the bottom line, or like cutting to the chase, as well,
Hmm.
is that, and this is the ancient part of it, is that part that we're looking to access has been a portal for consciousness for since the beginning of time, right? The heart. That's what we're looking to access. And that heart is where the conversation with something beyond ourselves begins. And whatever you want to call it, I'll call it, I call it God, I call it the divine. And that conversation that we have is, I think, one of the original blueprints of like music. If you go back and keep going back to music, where it started with drums, and drums being messengers and being used in ceremony, and how it was used within organized religion as well. The common thread is used as an amplification, where traditional language might not be doing everything that it needs to. So let's sing it. Let's sing those prayers,
Hmm.
right? And let's chant, and sacred chanting as well. We know, science is catching up to spirituality, not the other way around.
Right.
We know that chanting Om through studies now creates what's called limbic deactivation. And I'll share a really interesting story with you, that chanting Om, through this research, they did two study groups. One was chanting S, and the other was chanting Om. And they did fMRI studies to see what was going on in the brain. The group that chanted S, nothing beneficial was going to happen in the brain. But the group that chanted Om, the areas of the brain that lit up were geared towards what I'm talking about: inner peace, relaxation, all of those. But the interesting part of that story was, I knew that already. That wasn't like new information for me. I knew that that was the case. But what happened for me was, when my dad was passing, and literally I was bedside with him, and my dad didn't believe in any of this, Brian.
Right.
My dad's playlist definitely was not like Diva Primal and, listening to the Kirtan Kriya. He was Sinatra, Dean
Sinatra,
Martin, the
Dean
Rat
Martin.
Pack. He thought I
Right.
was out of my mind. I remember telling him I was playing music for James Van Praagh, and I won't tell you what he said to me after that. Um,
I can
so
imagine. I can imagine.
you can imagine, right? But I show up
Yeah.
bedside, and my dad's not fully present. And it was one of the first times I was alone with him in his battle with cancer that was going on. And I remember just wanting to help him, because I could tell he was like in fear, and his eyes were moving around. And I was like, wow, how can I help him? So I closed my eyes, and I remember just being connected to going to his top of his bed where his head was. And I heard chant to him. And I'm like, oh, really? You want me to like chant to my dad?
Yeah.
And found himself at the top of his bed. I said, okay, I'm gonna go for it. Putting my hands on my dad's top of his head, and just letting the Om come through, and chanting Om, and doing it for a few minutes. And I'm starting to kind of like feel like this warmth coming from my dad's head. And so I opened my eyes, and when I looked at my dad, he was looking straight at me, and was completely there with me. And I was able to have this conversation with him, where I say, Dad, I love you, right? And he would squeeze my hand, and literally I could feel the energy as
Yeah.
I'm talking to you, that something, that Om that came through, created that space that we're talking about. That I didn't know the research behind it. I later researched that when I was writing my book. Like, I want to know why this works.
Yeah.
I found this study that was there on this, that represented that. But it was so powerful for me, knowing that I was there close to his rite of passage. Like, he passed that morning.
Hmm.
And
Oh, wow.
on that more esoteric end, opening up that energy center that is the bridge between our physical and ethereal bodies, right? I knew that's what was going on. And later, when I started lecturing and I wanted to go to medical conferences, I'm like, how do I present this at a medical conference?
Yeah,
How do I get
exactly.
like 200 doctors to 300 doctors to stand up and like chant Om with me? Because I created a chant called Om Shalom Home, which all carry the seed syllables of Om in there.
Right.
And I remember having this conversation with my wife, who's a researcher, and we started looking at this together. And to this day, like last November, I was in front of 350 doctors and gave them the science and told them this story of the science of chanting Om and what the benefits were as well, and of chanting the Satan Nama for 12 minutes a day, what that does with Alzheimer's patients. And I said, so knowing that, how many of you would be willing to stand up with me and try that with me? No one's going to be looking at you. We're all going to be doing it together.
Yeah.
And again, right, the sweet spot of curiosity. Maybe just enough to get them curious and to stand up.
Right.
And I have a movement that goes with it where they bring the Om through the bottom of their legs all the way to their heart. And then the Shalom is connected to the field, right, of unlimited potential, and they bring that to their heart, and then their heart space. I'm watching 350 doctors.
And then there.
Om Shalom Home.
I would love for us to do this now. Have you noticed that when you chant with somebody that you create this special connection? I want people to get into the habit of oming together. Just throw out an Om together. Just find a resonate. But I'm happy to do the Om Shalom Home.
Yeah, let me give you a little of the basis of it, because it kind of works with your lower energy centers and your upper energy centers, and it integrates in the heart space. And also knowing that as we are watching this, right, there are people tuning in from all over the world. Like we have literally right now a global sound tribe tuning into this energy, and that energy is brought together by seed syllables. So Om is not just in Sanskrit, but it weaves through many different languages. Through the Hebrew language, Shalom, right, which means hello, goodbye, and peace. And through our language, Home, right, where we say home is in the heart space.
Yes.
So when I connect with the Om, that is the energy of bringing it up through the earth. And the earth connects us in the lower frequencies, right? Of being grounded, of being supported, tapping into that feminine energy of Gaia, right? When you have your feet on the ground and you feel safe, supported, and nurtured. That's the mother energy. That's the divine feminine energy. So we're going to bring that up, like you're scooping energy, like I'm scooping it, right?
Right.
From the bottom of my feet all the way up to my heart. Like you're gathering that beautiful divine feminine energy. You're going, oh. Then the Shalom, you're underneath the beautiful night sky, right? You're on the top of a mountain and you have this unlimited field of all potentials here. And this energy, you might even feel it as you're opening your arms. You can feel that energy coming into your heart because it's like a chalice, right? You have two pyramids of energy, one going from below, right? And the other one going from above. And the wide part of it allows us to access and tap into that energy. So we bring the Shalom in from the heavens, and then we bring it into our heart. So it's like, Om Shalom. And that energy also connects us to releasing control. And it's the energy of the Father. The Heavenly Father is above us.
Right.
So tapping into that unlimited energy, releasing control, asking for divine guidance and assistance in our life, and allowing it to come in. Like, yes, like an invitation. Come on in, man. Come into my heart, because this, as I said, is the portal where we are going to birth our creations from. And so what happens is you got below, you got above, and then where's it crisscross? Right in the heart space. So you have this this energy, right, that goes like this, and then it intersects in the heart space, and it starts going like that, like a figure eight energy that balances that masculine and feminine energy in the heart space. So this is the long version. I didn't give this whole version to the doctors, right? Because they might have told them everything.
Right.
And again, right, like know your audience, right? The sweet spot is curiosity. Right. Let them come into the experience.
Right.
Of that. So if we were doing it together, first, again, just bring the awareness. You're tapping into feeling safe, nurtured, and grounded in your next steps forward. Above is you're tapping into the unlimited field of all creation, all potentials, and your heart space is integrating that. So let's do it together. We're going to bring the Om in through the bottom of our feet to our heart. Oh. Just like you're leaving that Om, you're planting a seed in your heart. You're leaving the Om from below there, right? And then you're going Shalom, bringing it in through the top of your head, all the way to your heart, connecting to the unlimited field of all potentials. You have access to everything, and you're bringing it in, you're embodying it in your physical body, you're embodying it in your heart. This is your center of all that you are, the remembrance of who you fully are in this space. And you're planting that shalom in that heart as well, with the Om from below. And then we're just placing our hands on our heart for the third breath, and we're just going Ho. So let's do all three together. Om Shalom. Shalom. And you might notice, like sometimes you got to search for it. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? And as we hold this, and we're holding this energy in our heart, again, we've just brought that divine masculine, that divine feminine energy into our heart space, where it's integrating. What's the purpose now that we've connected to these unlimited field? We're supported, we have access. So this is a perfect time to connect into this flow state that we're in together, and just go inward and for a moment of silence and create an intention for yourself. And when you have that intention, I want you to just place it in your heart, like you're just gently nurturing what we've created in the heart space, like giving it a drop of water once you have your intention. Good. And if you have your intention, what we're going to do now is we're going to actually activate that intention by bringing a breath in from above and below at the same time. And then on the count of 3, we will release it into the universe together. So it's going to kind of feel like this. And then, right, just out. So let's do that together. Keep bringing it to the heart space. Hold it there for a second. And then on the count of 3, 2, 1, release it. And just feeling those intentions, feeling that space of coming together. We didn't need an instrument, right? We didn't even play any music. It's just literally, it's awareness of that already is, that remembrance of that. And I love that. I love to hear what people's experience was with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Put it in the comments. I want to experience, because it's very profound. I'd love to get your feeling when you do or in the room. for a meditation with a large number of people. You've had some really big audiences. And I want to talk about the group energy.
Yeah.
There's something special that happens when people are meditating together. It's an exponential increase in energy in that space. It's almost inexplicable. I can't give it the words, and it feels like when I'm only remembering it when I'm in it, and then when I'm out of it, it's like I can barely remember it for high spiritual experiences. Sometimes the memory goes faster, and in the moments, it's so intense and different. I want to get your impressions of that group energy that we start connecting. There's a group, almost we become one living thing for a little bit right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are, right? We are one living thing. It's just a matter of getting out of the vibration that we're not. So a lot of times it's about releasing dissonance first. And that has been my experience too. When we come into a room together at the beginning of an event, like say it's a 3-day event, is much different than when we leave. We're all bringing our daily stresses in, and
Right.
initially, that energy we could experience is dissonant, just picking up on everyone else's energy. The stress is whatever they had to do to get there. And then finally, as we move into the space together and we bring awareness that we're all connected into it, we start moving into more of harmony than it is dissonance. And I experienced that a lot in many different circumstances, and especially so when I played with Dr. Joe live. Initially was on the road with him for doing this with many groups. And literally, we were bringing in experiences that were happening in the moment. They were not rehearsed. So the music I was bringing through was based on group energy. And think of like an orchestra. We were kind of looking at each other, going back and forth, feeling the group energy. He was conducting, I was orchestrating, right? And we were tapping into group energy. And you can feel as the group started to come into coherence. Literally, you can feel the energy of the group is palpable, of like a wave of energy that suddenly we would look at each other and we'd go like, kind of like that, like home run, right? Because, you can feel the energy of the group together moving in the space. And the best thing to compare it to, I don't know if you've ever seen videos, if you haven't seen videos of like on YouTube, of metronomes that start off all moving at different pace, and they eventually start clicking together, right? And this is based on, this based on physics as well, that we will eventually adapt that energy. If you put grandfather clocks in the room, the pendulums eventually start to move into synchrony together, and we find coherence. And by creating intentions, like we just did, even in that short amount of time, we can move into group coherence and really tapping into that oneness that's already there. And that's really the whole key. That oneness is already there. Like I said at the beginning, I don't have to invite that in because it's already here with me. I just have to remember that I'm part of it, that I don't have to tap into the field necessarily. I am the field. I'm part of that field. And all of you are part of it as well. And it's just becoming literally the conductor of our own, I called your inner symphony. You have the ability to regulate this inner symphony, your heartbeat, your breath, slow it down, to speed it up, to adapt, to move into synchrony. And music is really the key that does that. I mean, music allows us to entrain. And entrainment is when that external rhythm of whatever the tempo is within the music or the beat can literally synchronize with our internal rhythm that is our heartbeat. And we literally can target these states where we become more coherent. So adapting to music at slower tempos are going to make the heart, not make the heart, but really the heart is going to move into that state where it can experience that synchronies and slow down or adapt to whatever the music is that's being played. And there's research behind this as well, that when we move into these heart coherent states, that it is also allowing us to produce more alpha brainwaves as well. So it's not one or the other. It's not heart or brain. It's a combination of the two. And literally, like yesterday, I got information that one of my pieces of music called Cosmic Consciousness was actually studied and was shown to have the exact effects that we're talking about. It increased heart rate variability, and it actually helped produce more alpha brainwaves as well. So did I know that when I was creating Cosmic Consciousness? I was targeting my heart at a relaxed state at 60 beats per minute, but I didn't necessarily know the outcome, but I felt it. And that's the important piece as well, that I think people seem kind of putting aside as well, Brian, that when we're listening to a piece of music, there's a lot of things going on. It's not just like a simplistic system of it being one frequency that we're listening to. We're listening to tempo. We are listening to harmonic relationships. We're listening to melody. We're listening to modal things, or minors and majors. And all of these things have an effect on our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. It's not just, it's not as simple as some people profess it to be. And I never, on my end, thought that it was. Like for me, it's always about, this is an experiment. Anyone who claims that mastership, is, for me, it's like, I'm still experimenting. I'm still experimenting.
When is meditation music going to be a Grammy category? It needs to be its own category. It's a genre of music that is very specific. I am a junkie for meditation music. Going back to Nightingale Conant, when I would go and get those, they had the in like clamshells. Remember those old audiobooks in the clamshells? Right. And you'd get like Deepak Chopra, or they'd have these, and it would have these little meditations on a little cassette tape. And it would create such a change in me as I was listening to it, that I became a junkie for like finding the next meditation music, right? And it kind of started like around then. Meditation music is a fairly modern thing in the history of music, although it's thousands of years old if the shamans are at it. But in terms of like music that people pay for and listen to and buy, it's a newer thing, right?
Yeah, and I think, categorizing it, I mean, the closest thing is New Age music, but not necessarily the same. And on the other end of it, right, is sound healing. And somewhere in between that, there's kind of like meditation music that meets the two together, because we're not just using acoustic instruments all the time in meditation music. Like I'm designing specific sounds that are very ethereal or very expansive, and spending a lot of time to create those soundscapes. Ultimately, I think the important thing for me is not as much as like it being recognized in its own category as the experience that people are having with it, and in terms of it rippling out. And I mean, in terms of bringing more awareness to, maybe there does need to be a category with it, for that as well, just because it does bring more awareness to it. But I could tell you, like, ultimately, like when I co-produced the track that I did with Les Paul, and the track won for Best Rock Instrumental in 2005, a song called 69 Freedom Special, the pinnacle of that for me was not the recognition, it was getting to play with Les Paul on stage. Right, and telling him the story of like my dad buying me a Gibson Les Paul at the age of 14, and now I'm up here with him. Talk about like the law of attraction and manifestation, right? It took 30 years, for that to come into the field, where my dad buys me this guitar that he can't afford that has the name Les Paul on it, and 30 years later, I end up working with the guy who invented it and co-producing a track that wins a Grammy with it. So I think that ultimately, sometimes we think it's about the recognition, but the recognition is in the experience itself. And
that's true.
And that's what I think we're coming back to as well, right? We want to feel things more live. Like I'm so glad you said, let's do this chant live, because we're seeing it now all the time, like with the abundance of artificially generated things in our world that is bringing awareness, and it's doing some great things. But I think it's also creating a longing for people to gather more as well.
To gather in physical spaces. I agree with that. And I want to take a moment to talk about the secret power of the guitar. My favorite instrument in the world is the guitar. Every kind of form of guitar, every single sound. If it's blues, even if it's country, even if I don't like it, if the guitar's there, I love it. And then sometimes I've had people say, well, you shouldn't use too much guitar in a meditation track. And I think it's really one of the most amazing instruments. I want to get your perspective of it. There's so many possibilities in this one little instrument. Obviously, the piano is similar to that, but the guitar has a secret power to transport.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been the case for me. Like, that was my way of transporting myself, was picking up a guitar. And when people say you shouldn't use that in meditation music, I mean, again, it's like dogma.
It's dogma,
right? In terms of we're looking for consistent things, but we change every day vibrationally. What you needed yesterday is not what you're going to necessarily need today. And I will tell you that some of my most profound pieces of healing music that have come through have been on guitar. And I'll tell you something, Brian. So this is for you, because I was kind of like preparing for this, like tapping into the energy of this today. And I kept kind of hearing, no, you need to like tune your guitar. And I was like, why do I need to tune my guitar? I'm not going to be playing guitar. But I do want to share this with you, because I think that it came through for a reason, because we're talking about like music, expectations, dogma, in terms of what's healing music and what's not healing music. And probably the most healing piece of music that has ever come through for me is a song that literally came through in a dream for me, from start to finish. And we're talking a lot about oneness as well. And in the dream, I experienced myself as a single blade of grass. And at the same time that I was a single blade of grass, I was the mist within the rain, I was the blue within the sky, I was everything. So I literally, in a dream, had this experience of oneness, where I knew that everything is connected and one thing affects the other. The rain affects the grass, the mist within the sky affects, the sun. Everything has an effect on everything else. And I woke up out of this dream state with all of these words in my head. And the chorus for the song that came through was, through the eyes of God, I have learned to see that I am everything and everything is me. And through the breath of God, I have learned to breathe, and I am everything and everything is me. And at the time, I was writing an album called The Moment. And my goal was to have this kind of like crossover pop healing music album. And I was like, well, this is a really nice song, but it's not going on the album, because I had this whole story going on in my head of like using the word God, and based on my own religious, upbringing and everything else. And I kept trying to like change the lyrics, like through the eyes of love, and, and they just weren't working. And I realized that I had been given a gift, like in the dream, and that it wasn't up to me to change it. It was up to me to bring it through exactly as it was given to me. And the song not only became on the album The Moment, which the album was actually inspired by Wayne Dyer, but it became like the song that people like loved on the album. I recorded it with a gospel choir. There's a video of it actually as well on my YouTube channel. And I ended up many years later opening up for Neale Donald Walsch through this song, and that opened up this collaboration with Neale and I, that we began to work together through this song called Through the Eyes of God. And so had I decided not to share it with the world, then it would have never gotten out there and rippled out. And I decided to put it on the album. And I'll share a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I woke up from a dream. I was a blade of grass. I felt a miracle in everything that passed me. I was the scent within the breeze. I was the blue within the sky. I was the cotton candy cloud. I was everything alive. And through the eyes of God, I have learned to see that I am everything. And everything is me. And through the breath of God, I have learned to breathe. Yes, I have. And I am everything. And everything is me. Through the eyes of God. Yes, through the eyes of God.
Wow. Thank you, brother. That was amazing.
Yeah, so that's
And
a
look, the
little
people in
bit
the
of,
chat you're such a great songwriter, and the vibe, it's amazing. Really appreciate that. And yeah, and the guitar is such a magical instrument in so many different ways. It has such a unique carrier wave and so many possibilities to it. The thing is, I've watched my son. He's been learning how to play the guitar, and it just takes so long to learn how to play. It is a difficult instrument. When I started taking lessons because I wanted to learn to play. If I could sit and play Pink Floyd, I might never leave my room. I might just sit there and
right?
just never leave. I just might just play that style of guitar. But when I tried to learn to play, the dexterity of my fingers, being able to move them in that way and stretch them out, such a difficult instrument. It is. People don't talk about how absolutely complex that instrument really is, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, it's most instruments, like it's easier to start out, but it's challenging to master.
To master the mastering process,
The
right?
mastery process, right, of anything. And I think that's the key. I mean, I always compare the guitar to us, like the guitar strings. Like you have to tune them. They have to have a harmonic relationship for them to play and to be able to create beautiful music with them. And it's the same thing within us, within our energy fields too. There's a harmonic relationship, and they work together to create an instrument that basically allows us to connect on a deeper level, either physically, mentally, spiritually, or emotionally. And if something goes out of tune, then the instrument's not functioning necessarily
Right.
properly or optimally,
Right.
more so to speak. And we experience that as disease for whatever reason that is. And we can work with that same energy of working with our energy and moving into more cohesive states as well. And sound is one of the beautiful things to bring awareness to that. Where are we holding energy in our physical body? Toning, chanting, all of these things are an amazing way to literally connect more fully with the sounds that are happening in our body.
Right.
And I've done through many times, of working through, physical things that are going on in my body. I had dental surgery, and I'm like, wow, I'm in a lot of pain here. I was about to take a bunch of aspirin. And I said, why don't I see if I can find the resonance of where the pain is? And I searched for the tone to do that. And when I found it, I knew I found it because I was in more pain, right? It recognized like it's that energy. Resonance creates an amplification of two frequencies, right? And that's exactly what happened. And then when I moved through that pain, it diminished quite a bit. And that's the key. We can do that with a lot of things that within our physical body by using sound and vibration as ways to release energy that's being blocked and open up the space to bring newer energy in, and bringing in that awareness or that remembrance. As we shed layers, we are connecting more to that remembrance. So
I really,
it's doing work. You know, you got to do that emotional
so
work.
true. I think it's amazing. I wanted to talk about a little bit about the sort of new sort of music that's being created with AI, but in a different way, because us as consciousness, we are always creating to make it easier for us to create. That's been the history of consciousness. So the person that's sitting in their basement that maybe doesn't have the time to learn to play the guitar, but has music in them, the human consciousness is creating technologies to make it easier for us to create what's in us. It's just always been that way. There's always been instruments and new technologies that speed up our process of creation, because in many ways with the human race, it's like almost a bowel movement. We have stuff inside us that needs to get out. And sometimes it's hard. How can I make this thing that's in the sound that's inside of me and let it come out? And so one small aspect of what will happen is we're going to hear more of people's music come out. Their music, that people's music is going to come out into the world more. We're going to see a little bit of that, right?
Well, we're seeing a lot of it.
We're seeing a lot of it.
Millions of songs being uploaded every day to Spotify.
Every day. So it'll be interesting to watch what happens to music in that process, right? I have friends that are creating their own music, and they're becoming obsessed with their own music. And then also there's this new dynamic where people they feel really good. A song makes them feel good. It's amazing. And they're questioning it because of the authenticity. Like, should I feel this? Is this appropriate for me to feel this way? Is this real? It's just like when we're seeing videos online, we think that's fake. There's this question now in the same sense, if something's making us feel good, like, but should it? It's a new aspect of creation, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to unpack with that, and I have so many mixed feelings, as most of us do.
I can imagine.
Because
I can imagine.
This is such a new thing. But I will say this to if we look throughout history as well, we've always been threatened and in fear over technology, and I've witnessed it many times in the music business as well, coming up as a producer in the time of a lot of the things that we are now utilizing that are part of our recording process that, you know, 30 or 40 years ago, we never thought they would have been. You know, for instance, like drum machines. Oh my God, they are going to knock out all drummers. Right. And they didn't knock out all drummers. And a lot of people like them or don't like them, but they figured out how to adapt. And sometimes there's synergy where drummers themselves are combining it with artificial and also acoustic drums to create something hybrid. And same thing as we moved into synthesis. Synthesizers are going to literally wipe out musicians because they were able to kind of emulate strings. And they did not. Same thing with digital recording in terms of actually being able to record into our computers. And we are using, a lot of us are using that as well today. And sampling, which I think is probably the closest analogy that I would have to like AI, was when sampling first came out. It allowed people to take other people's music and to take a sample of it and then put it in their own music, right? And until regulation came in with that, that it was also threatening to people because they had to figure out what was going to be right for the people that created it. So I think that regulation is a key thing. It's not within music. It's not just about use AI or don't use AI. It's also figuring out how it was trained, right? And figuring
Very
out
true.
the regulation behind it as well, because we don't want to build it on the same foundation that was ripping people off, and ripping musicians off for the last, 100 years. And so I think we're seeing some regulation beginning to happen. We're seeing Spotify artists begin to get verified as human creators or not human creators within that as well. And we're going to see some regulation going on with that. And then my second part of this, because literally you and I could probably do a 2-hour show on this alone.
Right.
Is faster better?
Is faster better? Yeah.
Because you're talking to a person who, I figured this out yesterday, don't know why, but I'm walking and I'm like, I wonder how many hours I've spent like in the recording studio experimenting with sound. And I just kind of said, okay, well, I've been doing this for almost 40 years, and at 40 hours a week, right, which is about 2,000 hours a year, right, it's about 80,000 hours in the recording studio, right?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't trade one moment of that in the recording studio for something faster. And so right. So in order to get to that place of experience, I think experience is important within mastery of something, that and learning from something as well, and experimenting with something. And I think that AI is going to do some amazing things, and it's even pushing people who were sleeping creatively. It's kind of waking people up too, in some aspects creatively as well. Within it. But I think the important part is it's not either or, like even with drum machines, it's not just about the drum machine, it's about who's programming the drum machine.
Exactly. It always
right? Who's
is.
steering it. It's not about who's playing just the synthesizer. It's about who, how that person's playing it. And ultimately it's about also, for me, a big question. Is it creating transformation for the person who's creating it? Because for me, that is an integral part of why I'm an artist, is I want to create transformation in everything that I'm doing. So, I mean, I'm experimenting with all of it because I need to learn every tool that comes in. I'm a music producer, but I haven't released anything yet that has been a collaboration with AI in terms of releasing things into the world, because I want to make sure that I'm able to steer it emotionally, and it takes me there first.
Right.
Again, kind of recircling back to where we started. I want to make sure that it's working with me to create transformation. And if I hit that point where I feel it's a collaboration, which in any collaboration for me is about synergy. Is it more powerful than each one of us could have created on our own? Right? If I collaborate with you and we do a meditation, and we come together to do that together, is it something that by bringing you in and me in, it created this third piece that was more powerful than the individual pieces together? And I think that's an important criteria for me in terms of how it's going to be used and why it's going to be used. Is I call it easy, Brian. I actually spoke about this in the United Nations. I call it emotional and spiritual intelligence, easy, coming together. You can't have just the artificial part without it being steered emotionally and spiritually for me to create transformation in myself first. And if I can get to that point, I'll say maybe. And if there's regulation involved as well, where I think there's some fairness coming into it also.
I really think that there is a heart energy attached to whatever. And it's very similar, like, I think they've been studies. You can have one painting and it's identical, but if the one that's sort of created with the heart energy is the one that people notice, it stands out. The heart energy is reflected from that creation. And I think that an element that we don't understand is that there's this natural heart energy attached to some creations. If it comes from your heart, and it will always shine through. Literally, if it's the same song without the heart energy, it would feel different. I think that's going to be the big thing. It's really going to, live music becomes very special and different. It becomes really, I think live music then becomes the thing that really stands out is what is it like live? That's going to be the thing. What's your favorite live show you've ever been to?
Oh man. So I would say probably Carlos Santana.
Oh, I
Um,
bet that would be amazing.
yeah, and I've seen him several times. Just again, the energy that comes through sometimes without words, and the way he connects to his instrument,
Hmm.
is like you feel it in every cell of your body.
Right,
And
right.
and I think that you're absolutely right about those live experiences, and we're seeing it. We're seeing it in the music business as well. That a lot more touring by like groups that we loved and haven't seen in a really long time.
Right. Yeah.
And I had a friend of mine. We had this interesting conversation. I'll share this with you the other day. And he said, I had to bring myself because the tickets are expensive. He said, I paid
Mhm.
$300 to see the Eagle and Steely Dan together. And he goes, and I took my whole family. So it was an expensive evening.
Right.
And I said,
Worth every penny.
well, yeah. And I said, but listen, think about back in the day, I said to my buddy, where how much money were you spending on music like in a year? I'm sure you were spending a lot more than $1,200 a year buying albums and CDs. And musicians now do not get paid hardly anything.
Right.
And you're getting music pretty much for free. So outside of that $1,200 you spent on a show, you're spending
That's a great
$10 a
point.
month on Spotify. So it kind of feels like even to me because the artist should be compensated in some ways. And if
Absolutely.
you're getting paid on the road for playing live and connecting with you and having a once in a lifetime experience, look at the big picture of this because there's a new model that's being created. And as always, when things come in and technology comes in, we have to adapt and readjust. And that's what you're seeing within every field,
Hmm.
not just music and AI,
Every
but
field.
everything, right? The biggest thing that I'm seeing is there's so much noise out there. And this goes back to what you're saying about the heart energy. There's so much noise out there is the most important thing to a lot of people, I won't say everyone, is they want to be able to trust the person that is sharing whatever it is with them. And that's where, I think live music comes in, and where heart to heart experiences come in is that you can feel that trust and you can feel it within the music as well. And if people can feel that, and they know that they can trust a person for bringing them something that's going to be from their heart and high quality, regardless of the collaboration. Regardless of the collaboration, I think that's the important thing, that we beta tested on ourselves first, which goes
Right.
back to kind of where we started, with me,
Hmm.
was I was the experiment and I still am the experiment. Like, I'm not going to send anything out into the world if it's not something that benefits me in some way.
Absolutely. 100%. Uh, I'd have to say it's probably one of those Pearl Jam shows, but maybe Lollapalooza '91 was pretty special. Yeah, I'm trying to
I
think
love it.
because there was so many great bands all at once just starting out. But what
Yes.
I absolutely love in a live show, my favorite things, the things that always gives me goosebumps, is when everybody in the audience knows the song and they're all singing it out loud, where the lead singer almost doesn't have to sing it, or where they can throw the microphone up and then everybody is in sync singing those same lyrics at the same time, and we're all transported into this other place, right?
I mean, that is coherence, right?
That
It'd
is
be
coherence,
right.
right?
Wouldn't we love to like be brain mapping people, in
In
that,
those moments,
yeah,
right?
that'd be a giant, amazing group experiment because we're doing so many with meditation. This is kind of like the
Right.
opposite of what you were saying
I would
before.
love to know a difference so we could compare,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Um,
like instead of just the meditation as a category of healing music, I'd love
right,
for people to recognize that pop music can be healing too. And
right.
it comes in all shapes and sizes. There's that song that got you through that breakup,
Yeah,
that song that got you through grieving your mom. That is healing music. That is sound healing. Like, let's stop putting our noses up,
yeah.
right?
Have you ever had
And
the phenomenon where you're at a concert and you don't really know the band, and everybody starts singing along and you find yourself singing along even though you don't know the words? Like, I was with my wife, she likes Mana, and I can't even, speak Spanish very well. And everybody's at this concert. They were all singing so loud, in tune, in a language I didn't entirely understand. And then yet next thing you know, I'm belting it out. I'm singing because it just, the natural flow of the song. I know what sounds are about to come out, even though I don't even know what they're talking about, right?
I love that. And you know what? You could feel that energy. Like I'm like listening to you
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
can feel the energy of what that felt like. You know,
Right,
because I can feel your energy like expanding just thinking about that as we talked about
right.
before. And
Uh-huh.
that's really the key. I mean, that's how what I was saying before that every song carries its own unique field of energy. And like I have a piece of music that was used in a lot of coherence healings at Dr. Joe's events called Hallelujah Amen. And it was used during these, it became the soundtrack for a lot of people in terms of creating these healing moments. Now, the question for me and the interesting part was, do you think that song had the same field of energy when 5 people listened to it as it did 10 years later when it had been through thousands of people who had these unbelievable experiences with it? Something in that piece itself has a field of its own that is now
Yes.
carried within the music itself,
Yeah. My
right
theory
beyond
is,
me. And
yeah,
so, and the whole reason when I was creating Hallelujah Amen, I never
yeah,
knew that it was going to be used for healing sessions. My intention was connecting to the word hallelujah, and you can feel this with me. It's a glorification
it
of
is.
God and the
Hallelujah.
divine. And amen was, it's already done.
It's already
It's
done.
already happened. The prayer is already answered. And I was
Hmm.
writing this piece. That was the energy that was going in to this song, that whatever your prayer is, that it's being answered in this moment and celebrated. Bring in the
Yeah,
glorification of God into the healing, whatever it is. I had no idea that it was going to be used in the way that it has been
yeah,
used. The energy of that was felt without me ever having to explain it. And I've only explained that a few times,
yeah.
so
Wh-
there you go.
My theory is, in along, like, take your song first, and it's almost a magical working that starts to occur, and it becomes an egregore or sort of living entity that is its own dimension. When the song, multiple people sing a song over a long period of time, each time, because all of time is one time, each time people connect to that song in that moment within a group or situation, it sort of creates this common field over time that links all those times together and becomes its own sort of magical dimension that you can call upon when the song comes out. And so that's why in the old days magic rituals were, because it's actually every time they would do the ritual it would sort of bring a magic to the when those words were said and when they would go through those motions. It's all, you're connecting to the Akashic memory of those songs, creating something else that resonates over time in all these contexts. And it's literally us traveling into another
Yeah, I mean, we're accessing it in some way, right?
in
And
some way.
I mean,
Yeah.
music,
So,
it redefines time, right? There is no time
yeah.
when we're listening to music.
It's why when we go to church or we hear a song sometimes for the first time, and it brings up a feeling in you that that's another phenomenon I'd love to discuss, it just general music. Have you noticed there are certain songs the first time you hear them, you've heard the song before, as if it was in another reality. You were like, oh, you immediately recognize it. Sometimes those are the new songs that really get to me, is like, oh, I've heard this before, right? Have you ever noticed that?
Yes, there's like a familiarity that you feel like you
Instantly know it.
you instantly know it. And yeah, I mean, that's one of the cues for how pop music was created, is create something that's memorable, that feels like that already,
Like you've already heard it.
like you've already heard it for the
Right.
for the many times. And it probably originated, the essence of a chorus probably came from, and I'm just guessing at this, I don't know this for sure, but the term choir as well, it probably
Right.
goes back, like whatever the choir is singing, we connect to and we repeat,
Right.
so but I think that we have had that many moments in our consciousness where music has played a significant role in literally shifting consciousness.
Absolutely.
And think about whether you love the song or not, like We Are the World.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Blowing in the Wind by Bob Dylan.
Blowing in the wind.
They literally were the soundtrack of a cultural change. Marvin Gaye, What's Going On? You know, all of these songs created awareness that was not present in a time where there needed to be some type of coming together to bring awareness, whether people agreed or not.
Yeah.
It was always the question, can we shift dissonance into harmony? And
Absolutely.
that is really a question that we're, you know, that's the importance of where we are now, where people are feeling a lot of dissonance and they're tapping into that dissonance. They're feeling a lot of noise out there. And sometimes, you know, it's not about tapping into that energy of it. It's about how you can create harmony in a world of dissonance. Where can you tap into that in some small way and do whatever it is that you can to shift the energy of what you're feeling? And we always have the opportunity to move into that space of bringing harmony. And sometimes the dissonance also brings a magnification of our awareness to how beautiful the harmony is, depending on how we're using it. We're using it in a musical piece, and I play something that's dissonant for even 10 seconds. Whatever I play after that is going to feel a lot more harmonious. And if it's really something beautiful that's played afterwards, you're going to feel it in a way that's much different than if I started out playing something beautiful. So dissonance does have a role, and it's all about how we can tap into to our own energy and bring harmony into situations where we might be thinking of that unhappy ending. But within situations and challenges and events that come through in our life based on our experiences and things that have happened to us in our life. But is it possible to look through a different lens and say, how can I bring harmony to this situation? And even if you can't, it's going to show you something. It's going to help you.
The question itself. Yeah. What is your theory about the repetition of music? Have you ever noticed when you can hear a bad song, but when you hear the bad song about 10 times, suddenly it's not as bad a song, and it can turn into a good song, or a song just by the repetition of music. So it can sometimes makes bad songs good. I'd like to get your opinion of that.
Well, yeah, and repetition too. You know, if we think about chanting, right, which is a repetitive word or phrase, and we're chanting it over and over again, what does that actually do, you know, for us? What's the basis of that? Well, it takes us out of our analytical mind. And if we can move out of our analytical mind and release our negative emotions or negative chatter that's going on, then it could be something that's beneficial, you know, to us. So repetition has a place, and patterns have a place in terms of getting us out of our thinking mind. But it's also, you know, sound can be used in ways that could be detrimental as well. And you know, we have to look at that throughout as well. You know, that sound can be used to manipulate as in bad ways, just as it has been in good ways. And we see things like this all the time. I mean, all the time. The best and easiest example for you is look at a pharmaceutical commercial, right? They're giving you 1,000 side effects that are terminal to your well-being, right? Or that are really bad for your well-being. What kind of music are they playing? They should be playing like horrific music.
It's uplifting music,
Uplifting, happy music. You're seeing a kid being pushed on a swing, right? And so that is not by accident, right? That is, that is to get you into the space of not listening and getting you out of your analytical, exactly what we just said. So that you're not thinking about the side effects, you're just thinking about the good things that can happen to you if you take this specific drug. I'm not saying good or bad, whether that beneficial for someone. I think there's a time and place for everything, but I'm just thinking it's how it's framed and the lens of how we look at things. So it's all a matter of how you can use sound in a way to, I won't say manipulate, but target the states that you want to go to. And it's coming back to that again. You don't want to be the person being programmed. You want to be the programmer, right? And you started off with playlists. You know, that's where we started off this conversation. And I think it goes full circle to that you have the ability to do that for yourself. And, you know, my book talks about that. I recommend like starting with 7 different playlists. And it's not like well, these are the ones you have to do, but they're just general suggestions. Start with gratitude, start with sleep, start with music for date night, whatever it is. Start with some basic playlists that, so if you're experiencing depression or anxiety, or if you're a person who's going through recovery, that you have tools like to plug in right away. Or if you're a caretaker taking care of someone and you want to shift your energy because you're spending like so much energy, like how much is it in your day to create a 3-song playlist that like, this becomes my go-to in my day to become something really powerful that is going to allow me to work through those energies. And
Right.
ultimately, it's about having more energy for you. And it's that old example, and it sounds cliche, of the mother who makes sure that she grabs the oxygen on the plane right before she gives her son or daughter the oxygen, because she has to be able to take care of her kids first. She has to be able to be alive. And I think it's the same thing. Like, we have to take care of ourselves first so we can be there for others. And ultimately, being here for ourselves isn't like a selfishness that it is, but it moves towards how can we share our gift, that whatever it is that we're here to do, in a way that could be selfless, that we have so much that we're birthing in our heart that we could benefit people for, that it becomes selfless, taking care of ourselves first, because we get to share it with so many more people. And I love that some of like the teachings in Kabbalistic theories talk about ego, and we define ego in such a different way. We think about it as being too big or grandioso, and what are people going to think, right? If I go out there being this big, big light in the world or whatever it is. And it's the other way around with some of these teachings, that ego is when you receive for the self alone. So when you have a gift and you're not sharing it in the world as fully and brightly as you possibly can in the world, you're more in ego holding it for yourself than you are in it going out and sharing it into the world. And that's something that changed my lens as I went out there and I started sharing this kind of music, and I knew it was helping people. I kind of started going inward and became concerned of what other people thought or how I would share it. And then I realized that when I read that ego is receiving for the self alone, if I know this is helping people and I hold on to this, then I'm in ego. And that's when I really started expanding my voice in the world and how this is shared, because I have so much passion and belief around all that this can do, that I want people to have the same experiences on their own, in their own way, that I've been able to bring into my own life, utilizing music in an embodied way.
So I have a theory that people like you and me, we always have a master playlist. It's that one playlist where you put all the songs at the same time.
Right.
How many do you have on your master playlist? I mean, you always have like the more recent one, but then there's one where, okay, that's the one where all the good music goes, and then you can press random later and just sort of let it
right.
Random, right?
Well, that's the key though, and that's what I was going to say.
Is the random, right? Right.
The key is the random, because
the key is the random, right?
Sit through, right, listening to all those songs,
right.
Kind of like leave it up to the universe of what song is played. Then it becomes like really fun, and like, oh, I'm so glad this played, right? And
right.
songs come up to us like angels and guidance. When we hear a song and it's at the opportune time, that's always a sign for me that we're tapping into that field, and something beyond us is with us. And take that moment, when you hear that song, right, and it's like, oh, this is so cool. Go beyond cool. Go beyond cool, because you are connected to the field in that moment. Take it to the next level and say, what can I do in this moment to expand my energy? How cool that this song came in at this time. The universe, if the universe was listening to me right now, and obviously it is, what is it right now that I would want to to intend into the world, that I'd love to bring into my field, that I'm ready for in this moment. So it's not enough like having the experience. That's cool. But the cool thing is planting the seed and then saying, holy shit, I can't believe that happened. Or holy shit, I can believe that this happened. Like, how cool is this? Because I saw it happening and I felt it happening already. And I just had to find the resonant match of that, whatever it is. And I think this is where like we're going like beyond the traditional approaches to law of attraction. And I know you do a lot of amazing things with that as well. Like, how does this move out into the world in ways that aren't just associated with money, but are also associated with a feeling of abundance that some people don't always relate to money. A lot of successful entrepreneurs relate that feeling to freedom, or to something completely different. And I think really that's the next level is of like, what is abundance to each one of us, and how can we bring that in our lives, because we're all worthy to receive abundance. We're all worthy to feel free in our lives.
Absolutely. It's been a real honor to speak with you, Barry. Thank you for taking some extra time with me and sharing this with our audience. It is the best place for people to find out more about you on your website. It's Barry Goldstein.
BarryGoldsteinMusic.com is a great place to find a lot of the hubs that I am. I mean, you can find me on my YouTube channels and all those places too, but that's the common hub there as well. All right. And I just wanted to also say that I think I wanted to share this with your audience too. About technology. So and Brian will tell you this, I had some technical challenge here. This is not like my normal setup, in terms of my other setup went kapush, and I had to adapt and, kind of pivot a little bit here too. And so I think that it's important too, that technology sometimes you can find challenges within it. And then we like learn to pivot, with
roll with the flow, adapt with it, right?
Ultimately, the biggest thing for me was like connecting with you and feeling your heart and connecting with your audience. And I feel like really blessed to be here with you. And I wanted to really tap into what you were doing in the world. And I've been watching a bunch of videos and your channels over the last, since we kind of scheduled this. And I just really love what you're doing.
Thanks, man.
In the world, and your audience seems amazing. So I just feel blessed to be and collaborate with you this way.
It's good to meet a brother from another mother, and maybe someday we can create a meditation together. If you're ever interested, I'll be happy to send. I would happy to send you a wave file, and I have a couple things that I would love to hear you just translate the ideas of. I've been doing meditations for 8 years, and it's a piece of art. Every single one is a piece of art. Everyone is different. It's an experiment. That's what I find fascinating as somebody that loves to create meditations and do them. And also when I started doing them live about a year ago, it changed everything in the way I'm creating my meditations. And so I just think it's a beautiful, wonderful art form. So we'll have to connect and do that. I would love that. And I'll make sure to put in the description all your links. Thank you so much. And as always, welcome to the Reality Revolution.
Thanks, Brian. And thanks for your audience as well. I didn't realize like we were live, and I'm watching like all these hearts come up. I didn't realize till about 10 minutes in that, oh wow, we're live. Okay. We in my group, everybody gets a chance to join, and so maybe next time when you come on, we can take some of their questions too. So, all right. I would love that. And next time too, I'm going to make sure. I would love to do like an activation or integration from my keyboard with your group as well.
We would love that.
We'll make sure we figure that out.
Yeah, let's plan it out in the future. So we will talk again soon. Welcome to the Reality Revolution. Thanks.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Whenever I've taught about money, I've only ever been able to give you a tiny piece. I've only ever been able to give you an affirmation or a single teaching. So I'm so excited to announce that we're hosting an event in Austin on September 18th to the 20th at the Hyatt Regency, which will be a 3-day immersive event designed around manifesting large sums of money in your life, shifting you into the reality where large sums of money flow to you, becoming the person in which large sums of money flow. Over a 3-day period, you will be transformed by these unique meditational practices. You will feel money. You will hear it. You will smell it. You will taste it. You will become it. You will walk away with this having a completely different understanding of the nature of money in your life. We will take it to the most fundamental of levels. Tickets are still available. We have a low early bird price. I want you to come and join us. If you have struggled with this in the past, if you have the ability to attend this, I want to completely shift what's going on inside of you, to change the variables, to completely change the world around you so that you live in a reality where large sums of money are undeniably coming to you all the time. You can find a link in the description at www.brianscottlive.com/Austin-2026.